We all set goals to help us achieve our dreams, and while these goals are well-intentioned, they sometimes might end up being a great source of anxiety and unhappiness. So how do we go about not getting attached to these goals for better emotional health? To discuss this topic with us is personal transformational specialist Angela Hardy. Always good to have you with us, Angela.
Thank you.
So goals, I think from the day we are able to understand life, we've been encouraged to set goals. Why is it that these are not always helpful, or potentially they're helpful but they can cause stress and anxiety?
Well, I think the thing is that we set a goal because we get excited about an idea. We want to go somewhere with something, and the goal is really useful in helping us determine where we're going exactly, how we're going to get there, what the little baby steps are to get me there. But we've no sooner done that than we forget that we completely sucked the goal out of our thumb. And as soon as we forget that we've sucked the goal out of our thumb, we start to feel as though I have to get there for me to be okay. I have to get there for me to be acceptable, to be successful, to be a reasonable human being, to have value and worth. And we start to feel a little bit more anxious about the getting there process.
Yes.
And in my own life, I found this to be true. It was really interesting to notice how I could, even though I've set a goal for well in the future, be anxious today about reaching that goal. And I just think that we have to really consider how much of ourselves we're getting attached to something that we literally sucked out of our thumb, has no value or meaning to anybody else, except we decided it seemed like a fun idea to get there.
You make an interesting point there, because you say it has no meaning or value to anybody else but ourselves. But it seems like when we have a goal, we're always questioning how other people are judging us according to that goal. So how do we not or lose that attachment, break that attachment, I suppose?
The truth of the matter is our own stuff is so much more important to us than somebody else's stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So we really don't care that much about whether you achieve something, except that we're happy for you and we want to encourage you and we want the best for you. We're not so much judging you. Oh, you said you do this, you couldn't do it, you didn't do it, you're a loser.
Yeah.
And so we have to start to realize that the thing that we think is other people's judgment is actually the judgment that we have on ourselves,
Right.
and the judgment that we're imagining up from other people. And of course, we're always choosing the thing that's most hurtful to us.
So let's look at how, if we do set a goal, if we decide, okay, no, I need a couple of goals, a couple of intentions, maybe use a better word for them, also to maybe break it down from being one big goal to smaller sub-goals, perhaps, that we can say along the route to getting to that final point, we are still achieving something, even if the final thing is not done. Is that maybe a way to sort of eat the elephant one bite at a time?
Well, that is the classic way of really achieving a goal, is what is the smallest little baby step that I absolutely know for a fact that I can take on, that's not going to make me feel like a total loser because I couldn't possibly bite this huge chunk off in this moment. But I think more important to that than that is to think about the fact that this goal that I'm setting right now, I might have energy, I might have influence, I might have a certain amount of power and charisma and effort available to make this thing happen. But how much control do I really have of the world around me? I mean, let's think about it honestly. How much control do you even have of your own thinking?
Yeah.
You know, your heart, your liver, your spleen, you've got very, very little control over anything. You certainly don't control what is the producer of Real Health going to do next? You know what I mean? What is the president going to do next? Is the council going to come to the party? You know, are the advertisers going to buy? You've got very, very little influence over all of those things around you. And those are really big in terms of whether you're going to achieve your goal or not. And so we've got to dial back and know, okay, I've come up with this really fun idea. I'm very enthusiastic about this idea. It feels like this massive adventure. If I don't get myself so attached to it, it could feel like an adventure every day. But if I get myself so attached to it and the not getting of it feels like a personal failure, it's going to become more and more stressful, more and more anxiety inducing, and less pleasant to engage in every day.
It's interesting, because if you do break that idea that this is an all or nothing, achieve success or failure, you know, then suddenly it can be easier. But it still gives you that motivation to move forward.
That's it. And we become so much more flexible also.
Because
we, instead of being so directed to this one thing that has to be at this time and in this way and has to look exactly like this, we can go, okay, that's not happening. What is available to me? And we open up our thinking, and all of these things are suddenly available to us. You know, People say the universe is supporting you. Well, if you can't look, you can't see how it's supporting you.
Yeah.
So we've got to be open to like, okay, well, what is possible? What is actually, maybe I was a bit misdirected with this goal and it's not the best plan I ever had. But here comes something into my periphery that I'm like, oh, hold on. That actually looks like the way to go about this.
Yes. That's an interesting one as well to me, because I think I think I've heard the phrase blinded by your goals or your target or something like that. Because if you're so hell-bent on getting to that thing,
that specific thing,
other amazing opportunities have you possibly missed out on the sidelines?
Yeah. And we hold ourselves sometimes so accountable to something that, you know, what's like the most important thing in your life? Is it to be accountable to something that you sucked out of your thumb? Way down the line when it's no longer interesting to you or no longer has value to you, or you're actually thinking, I don't even know why I made this up.
Yeah.
Or to live a life that is filled with adventure and excitement and happiness and a sense of self-worth and a sense of this is worth living. And it's really just about how we frame it in our minds. It's not about the goal, whether we decide to achieve it or not, whether we decide I'm letting it go. How did I frame that whole thing in my mind that made me then go, scares me now, I don't like it anymore. I feel anxious and upset and fearful and like a complete loser.
Well, I suppose you've created a target and there's pressure. There's pressure. The world is putting pressure on you to always achieve something, you know.
In your mind.
And it's,
The world doesn't give it to you. The world really doesn't care.
Fair enough.
If you achieve or you don't achieve.
It's interesting that you get so hung up though. But now, how much of that is, I don't want to dismiss the school system, but how are we maybe misdirecting that focus on goal setting? Should we be looking at, even with kids, to say to them, it's not about like the perfect score on everything, but it's about enjoying the process, and it's about retaining the information when you're learning from that point of view, or discovering your world out there. Literally enjoy the ride.
You just pushed my little school button right there. I've got things to say about schooling. I think that you're really on the money there. I think that the problem with schooling is you pass or you fail. And so you're given these subjects, you have to do certain kinds of subjects. They don't work into your genius. They're not what you like to do. And all of our attention is drawn to this pass or fail. And I really think that if you're given a subject and you're not naturally good at it, the story that should come back to you around this thing is, here is an opportunity for you to learn grit and tenacity. Pass it, learn grit and tenacity. Don't worry about learning whatever the subject is that you're hating. Learn grit and tenacity, because those things are really valuable things to learn. But when you're not focusing on, the passing is about learning grit and tenacity, you're focusing on the idea that failing this thing means that I myself am a failure. And this is what goals are about too. If I fail to achieve this goal, I am a failure, as opposed to, I didn't achieve that goal. The myriad of things did not fall into place and I wasn't able to make it happen. We get so personal about it. I am a failure. And school does that all the time. And you really, kids are committing suicide because they're not getting straight A's, because they are a failure if they don't get straight A's. It seems to be ludicrous and very unhealthy way of going about things.
I think you've summed it up so beautifully in terms of it's not about the perfect ending. It's about getting to the end and taking what you can from the situation. So definitely lots to think about there in terms of goal setting. Hopefully everyone can be a bit gentler on themselves and enjoy the ride of life as they go through it.
I think if you're ever going to set a goal for yourself, set that. My life is an adventure. I pursue the things that excite me and make me happy. I don't treat myself as though that is the thing that makes me. Instead, it's a thing that I want to see if I can make happen.
Absolutely.
And that is really exciting and interesting. Can I make this happen? What do I have to do next to make this happen? How can I achieve this thing that I've determined I would like to have happen? But I don't need that thing to happen for me to be okay.
Absolutely.
Or for me to be valuable or worthwhile.
And then what an adventure life will be.
Then it's an adventure.
Absolutely.
It's a subtle art, that, hey. It's really a subtle art.
Well, Angela, thank you so much as always for sharing your thoughts and insights with us.
Thank you.
Great pleasure.